Yes. Hello, my beautiful friends. What an amazing day it is. How about that Congress, huh? We're going to talk about it. We got a lot of tabs pulled up for the show today, and it is just brimming with winning all across the browser today. I got reaction from basically the entire cabinet, many people in the Trump administration, all celebrating, kind of dunking it right on the libs and the left, saying, eat it, and really enjoying themselves. So we'll go through that and parse around and see what's happening. Now, simultaneously, the Democrats screaming into the sky, like that scene out of Star Wars where that planet explodes. And very unhappy about this. We've got AOC queued up, and she's just basically on the verge of tears out there, all on the show. So we'll go into that and see what's happening. Now, we're also waiting for the president to come out and speak. He's heading over to, I believe, Iowa right now. And so we'll keep our eye on that. If that happens, we'll see what he's up to. But we got that. Then we'll talk about this Kilmar case, because remember, the Kilmar case was in Tennessee, and the Trump DOJ was having this battle about whether he should be released. And the judge said, yeah, release him. And then they said, okay, well, if you release him, then Homeland is going to take this dude, and we're going to fuera him right out to Somalia or someplace. So you want to do that? Then they said, actually, no, keep him in. And now Trump and the DOJ have filed and shredded this judge and basically said the lower level magistrate judge that made these decisions is an embarrassment and made major problems. And so we'll go through that, see what that motion looks like, and then see where this goes. And then fresh out of the oven today, we had just minutes ago, didn't even make the titles, was a new Supreme Court decision that came out in the DVD case. You remember this one right here, DVD, not like the video cassette tapes. It's an illegal who gets protection and pseudonymous naming rights. And the Supreme Court came back down, and this was the one, remember, the Supreme Court already told this judge, this hack judge called Brian Murphy out of Massachusetts there in Boston, he came out and ordered Trump to bring the illegals back in from foreign lands into the United States because he's the judge. Trump said, well, we're going to fight this a bit, and went up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, Brian Murphy, you're wrong. You're bad. And he said, well, you know what, actually, I'm going to hold on to this case, and I'm going to continue to make you comply with my injunction, even though the Supreme Court just said I can't do that anymore. So Trump filed, we read it here, a motion for clarification, taking this up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court came back down today and was basically saying, Murphy, you were wrong again. How could you possibly think anything differently? And we'll see what they say about it. Then we've got some fun stuff. Here's Stephen Miller. This is fun one. It's like Rocky montage. You see these orca whales fishing in America. Oh, Stephen Miller. Oh. It's going to be the golden age. So we got some fun stuff coming up, but a lot of victory in the making. And so, my friends, happy July 4th Eve. Happy Independence Day coming up soon. Our plan is we're going to be here tomorrow, baby, but we're going to do one stream early in the morning. And so thank you for joining us tomorrow morning at about 9 a.m., 12 noon Eastern, I think is when we'll go live. Of course, I want to see what the official schedule looks like as well. And then we'll be celebrating. And also, it's Mama G's birthday tomorrow. Oh, my goodness. Shout out to Mama G. Happy birthday, Mama, coming up. So we'll be back tomorrow. Regular time. Members, we had a great members only stream this morning. Members, stick around. We'll have a members only after party today. Thank you for becoming a member and supporting our work. Couldn't do it without you. Very grateful for you. Thank you for gifting members and becoming members. We love you. All right. So we had a great stream this morning. Members talking about a bunch of good stuff. So we'd like to have you. All right. So now let's get into the day and the business that is ahead. Victory, declares Caroline Leavitt, press secretary, saying that the big, beautiful bill has now passed both houses of Congress, making their way over to the president's desk. And the president is going to be signing this puppy tomorrow, July 4th, to ring in America's birthday with the big, beautiful bill, baby. So here's what Caroline said. Says the President Trump's big, beautiful bill delivers on the common sense agenda that nearly 80 million Americans voted for. The largest middle class tax cut in history, permanent border security, massive military funding, and restoring fiscal sanity. The pro-growth policies within this historic legislation are going to fuel an economic boom like we've never seen before. Trump looks forward to signing the one big beautiful bill into law officially to usher in the golden age of America. We're looking forward to it. I remember Trump's first term. It was like, wow, man, building our law firm, things were moving and grooving. Then things shifted all of a sudden. Yeah, anyways, we got Caroline Lovett, and Trump was also out. Now, he's heading over to start the celebration for July 4th in Iowa on an airplane right now. But here's what he said before he hopped aboard, saying congrats to everybody who got this baby done.
I think we're going to get great growth. I think we'll have growth at record numbers. This is going to be something that's amazing, and everybody was watching it all over the world. And I want to congratulate the Speaker and Tom Emmer and Steve Scalise and everybody else. I mean, they worked so hard, so hard. This has really been going on for over a year, if you think about it. I think, to be exact, about 14 months. And this was the culmination, and I guess it ended a lot earlier. A lot of people thought it would end up the following afternoon. Well, it ended up late in the evening, but they were great. They were great. And by the way, on the Senate side, I thought Senator Thune did a fantastic job.
Everybody got it done, and it is now through. Trump said tomorrow night that they are going to sign the big, beautiful bill about 5 o'clock tomorrow night. So we're going to have B-2s, F-22s, F-35s flying over the White House, and we'll be signing with those beautiful planes flying right over our heads. Here's the president. I can say it better than I did.
They're going to be very proud tomorrow. So we're signing at about 5 o'clock. And at about 5 o'clock, we're going to have B-2s and F-22s and F-35s flying right over the White House. And the Speaker and I and John Thune, we're all there together with most Republican senators and congressmen and women. And it's going to be a great day. So we'll be signing with those beautiful planes flying right over our heads.
Yeah,
they're going to be very proud.
America. So that is going to be happening tomorrow. Now, we got a lot of reaction elsewhere. Steve Scalise will just kind of make our rounds. Steve Scalise, we know him. He is over the House Majority Leader from Louisiana. He posted this. The one big beautiful bill has passed the House. Senate, check. House, check. Next stop, President Trump's desk. Also reposting this from Mike Johnson, who shared this. Republicans in Congress have succeeded in our mission to enact President Trump's America First agenda. And importantly, we did it in record time so that the effects of this nation-shaping legislation can be felt by the American people as soon as possible. Today, the House has passed generational legislation that permanently lowers taxes for families and job creators, secures the border, which is like, as much as you might, kind of detest the spending, at least we're getting a little bit of something this time, which is a wall and a secure border. Says unleashes American energy dominance, restores peace through strength, reduces spending more than any other bill ever has, and makes government more efficient and effective for all Americans. Now, it should never be forgotten that every single House Democrat, never forget, voted against all of it, proving once again that they support tax hikes on their constituents, open borders, runaway government spending, and Medicaid for able-bodied adults who can work but just choose not to. The one big beautiful bill now heads to President Trump's desk for his signature. And all hardworking Americans should know this bill is for you. From Mike Johnson. So that is him and his statement. Here was the actual signing in case you missed it. Just a short clip of the actual execution of the bill. And I just put the volume key right in front of his signing. Okay. A little bit far back on that pen, don't you think? All right, you did it. Yeah. And then I think they started dancing to the YMCA. Yeah, okay. So they start dancing to the YMCA, blow our eardrums out. All right, so well, that's, I guess, where this is going. So we got that. Now, Stephen Chung, he is over at the White House. He says, hey, tranquilo, no panikins. The One Big Beautiful Bill is a generational bill that will bring prosperity to all Americans. This is the very definition of America First and what the people voted for, from Stephen Chung. We now have Scott Bessent. He also came out. He says, all right, everybody, the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill has set the stage for the next golden age as we prepare to celebrate the 250th year of our great nation. Thanks to President Trump's visionary leadership, Speaker Johnson and House Republicans, working with Leader Thune and Senate Republicans, have passed the strongest legislation for American workers and families and prevented the largest tax hike in history. President Trump has delivered on his promises to Main Street while strengthening critical programs, national security, and America's manufacturing sector. The One Big Beautiful Bill will unleash the full potential of the U.S. economy. It locks in permanent pro-growth tax cuts for families, workers, and job creators. The bill also enacts no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, new tax cuts for seniors. The bill will also strengthen important programs for those who need them most and save taxpayer dollars by cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. This consequential legislation, says Bessent, cements the blue-collar boom and improves the lives of Americans on every rung of the economic ladder. As we saw after the passage of Trump's 2017 tax cuts, American businesses will hire, invest, and raise wages now that this administration and the Republican Congress have delivered certainty and stability for the economy. And jobs numbers were booming today. We talked about that on the Membos Only stream. Tulsi Gabbard came out sharing this. Trump's doing the big dance there. Victory, One Big Beautiful Bill passes Congress. Heading over to Trump's desk. Tulsi said, promises kept. Congratulations to POTUS on the passage of his One Big Beautiful Bill. He is continuing to deliver on the promises he made to the American people at record pace, from the Director of National Intelligence. J.D. Vance is out. Congrats to everyone. At times, I even doubted we'd get it done by July 4th. JD, don't doubt us. But now we've delivered big tax cuts and the resources necessary to secure the border. Promises made, promises kept. Kristi Noem over at Homeland, very excited. Today's passage of the Big Beautiful Bill is a win for law and order and the safety and security of the American people. This $165 billion in funding is going to help Homeland and our brave law enforcement further deliver on Trump's mandate to arrest and deport criminal illegal aliens and to make America safe again. Thank you, President Trump, for doing that. Tim Burchett came out. He said the bill just passed. We saw that he was working hard over there over the week, and here is what his report is on the latest.
Hey everybody, just leaving the House floor. Big beautiful bill passed. I know that's not much news right now, but let's talk about what's in it for Tennesseans. The average Tennessean will not see a $2,000 increase on their taxes. You will see border security. We will see defense against missile strikes, which we've come to find out are more and more of a possibility, especially with drone technology, that type of thing. It will unleash America's energy potential, I believe, with getting us back to what we've got. We've got oil in the ground, we've got gas in the ground, we got coal in the ground, and we can start with these small nuclear reactors. We got great assistance out of our EPA. My buddy Lee Zeldin, running that outfit, is permitting stuff a whole lot faster in the past. It takes 6 to 8 years, and then the bureaucracy just nightmare. The only people make any money off that are the freaking lawyers. So that got a lot in that bill. There'll be a lot coming out about it. I think you're going to be very pleased. And did we get everything we wanted? Heck no. But as they used to say in Nashville, everybody a little uncomfortable about a bill. Usually it means it's a good piece of legislation. I think ultimately it's going to be a good piece of legislation. I wish we'd have cut down on some of the spending, especially with defense. We gotta, but there is money in there for drones and the hypersonics and all those other things. You can Google all that stuff. But anyway, I'm on about an hour and 15 minutes sleep, and I'm not in college or high school anymore. So thank y'all for sending me here. I thought that's going to clip me. I think he really is. He's coming back. Thank y'all.
Hey, thank you, Tim. All right, so thanks for the walk and talk. We appreciate it. And those daggam lawyers, you know, they just keep coming at you, and they trying to shove stuff in the bills nobody wants. Now, we also had a photo session. Chairwoman Lisa McClain was out there. very smiley, says, House GOP delivered POTUS and the American people's full agenda. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act is headed to President Trump's desk. Yeah, cheers. All right, so they got it done. Now, we're hopeful that this is well worth every penny and that we get some real growth out of this puppy. We have Secretary Lori Chavez Ramir. She posted, this is a huge victory for hardworking Americans. The One Big Beautiful Bill will usher in a new golden age of prosperity. Here's Linda McMahon, Education, says, success. Not only does this bill include historic tax cuts and cost savings for American families, the bill also includes massive expansion in school choice, explaining adds accountability measures for higher ed institutions, reduces federal student loan borrowing amounts to help curb rising tuition costs, simplifies the overly complex student loan repayment program, expands Pell Grants to short-term workforce programs. A truly beautiful bill for the American people. Congratulations to everybody. So that is from Linda McMahon. We've also got Burgum. It's Doug. He says, congrats to POTUS for passing the historic One Big Beautiful Bill. America, get ready for a safer, stronger, more affordable, and energy-dominant future coming your way. Kelly Loeffler over at the Small Business Administration. She said, in passing the One Big Beautiful Bill, Congress has delivered on President Trump's America First agenda, advancing the most consequential pro-small business, pro-worker legislation in American history. This bill is about our future. It will unleash a wave of growth, job creation, and strength unlike anything we've ever seen, restoring Main Street and reigniting the promise of the American dream. It's the dawn of our nation's revival, powered by hardworking Americans and delivered by POTUS. We got transportation also. The winning continues. He says, Independence Day, Sean Duffy, the perfect time to pass President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. The most popular item, a brand new air traffic control system. Merry Christmas, America. This bill makes a $12.5 billion down payment to revolutionize America's skies for the next generation. And this is something I ask a lot about. It's like, what are we getting for all of this money? Like, you know, a prior generation gave us the Manhattan Project and nuclear energy, you could argue. You might say that Eisenhower gave us the interstate system. Okay, great. What else? Or, Kennedy took us to the moon, demanded we go up there, right? And we got NASA and a bunch of space technology out of it. What have we done here other than transgenderism in my generation? Not real sure. But he says, now we're going to have new air traffic control systems, will be good. This bill is going to make a big down payment. You have my word. I will not rest until this mission is complete for our great nation. Happy Independence Day, America. Let's make America's airspace great again. And shout out to Duffy for that one. Now, Stephen Miller, you know him. He says Congress just passed the most populist, pro-worker, pro-American, pro-sovereignty, pro-freedom, and pro-growth legislation in American history. The agenda President Trump campaigned on and won a historic mandate to implement is now the law of the land. The golden age is here. Lee Zeldin said Congress, I told you there's a lot, just passed Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. This legislation is now headed to Trump's desk immediately to be signed into law. And this is going to supercharge the United States of America's golden age. He's over at the EPA. We got more. Here was one of Trump's economic advisors saying this is the best, most beautiful bill in history, and it's going to create so many jobs. And that was a little bit of an older clip because we know that the bill passed after that. But here was what Thomas Massie said. Although there were some conservative wins in the budget reconciliation bill, I voted no on final passage because it will significantly increase U.S. budget deficits in the near term, negatively impacting all Americans through sustained inflation and high interest rates. It's like, all right, thanks, Thomas, for your principled objection. We heard you. Now, Wesley Hunt, CNN, he shared this. He says CNN is accidentally, he's a representative over from Texas who's crushing it right now, and says gas prices are down, economy's booming, jobs are up, border secure, one big beautiful bill is going to pass. And the Democrats' response? They're in mourning. What are they going to do? This clip was kind of surreal because this lady just goes after Debbie Wasserman Schultz and says, hey, Debbie, what are you guys going to do to fight back against the Republicans? And what are you going to fight back against? Lower grocery prices, more economic opportunities, a safe and secure border, ending wars, and the list goes on and on. And so what are the Democrats going to do? Fight to stop that? Yeah, that's basically what their entire party's doing right now.
Here are some things that have happened. Gas prices down. Economic indicators are decent. Brand new jobs report shows that it's much better than expected. And border crossings are down. And now Trump's mega spending bill looks like it's going to be passed by Republicans. How do you Democrats fight back with the wins that Trump can tout?
Well, it depends on how you define wins, Sarah.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of what the meaning of is, you never really know. So it's confusing to them. A secure border is like, it's not really a win, okay? Lower grocery prices, not really a win. Lower gas prices, whatever, okay? That means you're going to use more gas and the planet's going to die. We're all going to die if you use more gas. So you think that's a win, CNN? All right, so that's the Democratic Party struggling. Well, it depends on how you define win. Now, Chip Roy came out. He said, today, after a long day and night working hard to secure key wins from the administration to end the damaging Green New scam subsidies, lock in substantial additional reductions in spending, and further assurances on how Medicaid will go to vulnerable Americans and not illegal aliens, I, Chip Roy, voted to support the One Big Beautiful Bill. For the last 6 months, Chip says, we worked to guide the reconciliation process in the House to multiple wins in close coordination with Trump's team. And at each step in the process, passing the budget resolution twice, passing the reconciliation package twice, working in the Rules Budget Committees, the House Freedom Caucus worked with the president to force Congress to deliver substantial victories. When we started this process, Chip says, we were told we can save maybe $300 billion. But guess what? Chip says we secured $1.6 trillion in legitimate savings. A lot of people don't believe that. A lot of people say, whatever. And I saw Ray Dalio and others saying, no, you're going to create a bigger deficit. So is it savings? Maybe, but you're actually increasing the spending, which I think is what a lot of people have problems about. But we're told we cannot touch Medicaid. But we did. We secured over $1 trillion in Medicaid and Obamacare reforms, establishing work requirements, and nearly returned Medicaid to pre-Biden spending levels. We were also told we cannot touch SNAP and food programs, but House conservatives got over $100 billion in savings, ensuring it goes to citizens over illegal aliens. Now, we were also told we should temper expectations on repealing the Green New scam. No, we secured the termination of 90% of future Green New scam projects, solidified by assurances from the president last night, saving over $500 billion there. We were also told we cannot do anything about health savings accounts. But House conservatives secured their use for direct primary care, making them much more effective for hardworking Americans seeking choice in Obama's broken healthcare system. The swamp in Congress and on K Street tried to stop the president. And those of us fighting to deliver substantial spending reductions and reforms at each and every step of the way. We won fights they said we could not win. We added significant resources to secure the border. We have extended tax relief for millions of Americans. We have passed the largest mandatory, quote, spending reduction in American history. We have terminated about half of Joe Biden's signature accomplishment, the Green New scam. Celebrate today, fight again tomorrow. I think a nice post from Chip Roy and his press office explaining exactly what went down. Now, AOC was having a tough reaction to this. ABC News got the clip for us, but she was just one of many. Kamala came out. She's back. She hasn't changed a tune or learned a thing. Says Republicans in Congress have voted to devastate millions of people across our nation, kicking Americans off their health care, shuttering hospitals, eliminating food assistance, and raising costs. She says this is Project 2025 in action. Project 2025, that's like 8 months ago, Kamala. We haven't heard that phrase since you got blown out in the election for being so terrible. So, all right, just trying, Project 25, really? You're still doing that? Now, we also saw AOC very unhappy about this. And our friend over at Breaking 911 said that she is devastated by this. Let's listen to AOC and her salty tears.
I think this is one of the saddest days in modern American history.
Are you going to go cry on a fence in a white outfit?
This is the largest This is the largest withdrawal and ending of health care in American history. 17 million people in our country, 17 million Americans in our country are going to lose their Medicaid. They're going to lose their ACA insurance. Small business owners are going to have their healthcare costs skyrocket, and people are going to have their SNAP and WIC cut back. People are going to go hungry. People are going to get sick on a scale unlike anything we've ever seen. And it's all of it is just to finance tax cuts for billionaires and the wealthiest corporations who don't even need it. I don't think I don't think we have ever seen or are prepared for how catastrophic this is set to be.
All right, so hopefully those words are marked down forever, because we're going to see that we have tremendous growth now that America is being unshackled from liberal insanity, green scams, equity, diversity, billions of dollars being siphoned off for their friends in Ukraine, billions of dollars being siphoned off for USAID and other grifts, now coming to a close. And the Republicans, right, we've said this for a long time, that even when all that cutting was happening, it sounded very exciting, but we were just in the cutting phase. Like, we're going to have to bulk back up here because that money is coming from Congress. And essentially, I think the way the dollar works is we got to be making a lot of it and printing more of it, or kind of the entire system is run on debt now. And that was always going to happen. I'm not saying I'm in favor of it. I think it's probably existential to the future of America. But Trump also needed some runway. He just got there. He needed some runway to be able to do and work some magic to bring America out of this and to right the ship. And so here we are. I'm, for one, glad it's over and that we're at least going to move on to the next topic now. We see that Bill Melugin was explaining that the ICE folks were very thrilled about this. And if you're not excited about anything, I think the border is one thing that we can expect some serious progress on as a result of this. And Trump promised us that he was going to build that wall. Took a little longer than we thought, but now we got the money for it. Says, I asked ICE contacts, Bill Melugin, who's got probably a lot of them, for a reaction to the one big, beautiful bill passing with massive ICE money. Here are some responses. LFG, this is long overdue and will give us the resources to ramp it up and give the American people what they voted for. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Shout out to that dude. This ensures that ICE is the tip of the spear to make America safe again. Let's go. This administration has been fighting nonstop to give the law enforcement agents in these dangerous sanctuary communities the tools we need to complete the mission. From Bill Melugin. We also saw this. Rep. Van Orden, people asking him, well, you know, the CBO says that it's going to be very expensive, this bill. He says, well, the CBO is never right. Here's how many times they've been right.
So I'm going to hold up a number, and it's the amount of times the CBO has been right. Oh, here it is. They're never right. They've been off by orders of magnitude. But during Trump's first administration, trillions and trillions of dollars off on trustless clouds.
Zero, never is what he said. So who cares whatever whatever that agency says. Now that was from Treasury Secretary, and that was before the vote. So we'll skip over that. Here's Johnson after the vote saying on what concessions were made to the other people. Like, how'd you get this thing squeezed through? Magic Mike Johnson. How did you do it?
Yes, what concessions were made? We know it wasn't changes in the Senate bill, but it was perhaps maybe promised through executive orders or future legislation. What are we looking at?
No, I mean, look, as I said, a lot of these members wanted to talk with the administration about how the new law would be administered by the Trump administration and the team. And I think they answered those questions. I don't think they exacted a lot of specific commitments or concessions or anything like that. It was just more an understanding how that would interact. As you know, this president has been a bold leader. By last count, he's issued over maybe close to 160 executive orders so far. We're trying to codify as many of those as possible. So a lot of the discussions were about what executive orders will be forthcoming as it relates to the new legislation, and how can we be involved as a House to codify that and do all that in a coordinated fashion. The beauty of unified government is this is exactly how it can work and how it's supposed to work, is that you have an interaction between the executive and the legislative branches, because that's what's best for the people. And that coordination is going to yield great results for the folks. So that was part of the discussion yesterday.
Yeah, how are you going to implement and execute the laws? We're going to give you all this money, but what are you going to do with it? Trump says, here's the plan. They said, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. They got on board, and it is done. Now, we also saw lots of reaction from many other people. CNN saying this bill is going to seal Trump's legacy, which is a pretty dang big admission from CNN that really puts a nice cap on how significant this whole thing was for them.
This could not be a bigger deal for President Trump and for this administration. They believe that this bill really encapsulates everything President Trump wants to do with his agenda, that his legacy is going to be sealed in some of the items that are in this bill. And that's why it was so important to President Trump to get this across the finish line. It has been something that has been weighing on the White House as they have been negotiating, having conversations, courting House members for months. I mean, I was told 2 days ago that they felt like they had these month-long relationships with House members that they've been trying to address their problems for some time now. Now, the other problems with the bill, just to be clear, one of the other parts of this that I think might go unnoticed is how much this second term for President Trump is different than the first term. They have figured out in that 4 years that President Trump was not in office how to work the system in their favor. That was not something we saw during the chaotic first term. And, you know, in the last couple of days, we've been talking about this nonstop, this idea that, is the bill on the verge of collapse? And every time I spoke to White House officials, they said they like their odds. They think that they are feeling optimistic. And when I ask why, they just point me to what we've seen for the past 6 months, which was anytime President Trump has wanted to get something done in Congress, even with people opposing it, almost every time he has been able to strong arm something through the Senate, through the House that he wanted to get done in terms of his agenda.
Major victory for the president. They're acknowledging it. And we definitely see that. I mean, Trump came in with a whole plan. They were just knocking out like a to-do list. You know, we're going to come over here and clean this up and clean this up. And they came out a roaring. And we have to also say shout out to Mike Johnson for getting this one through, regardless of even if you think about whether you like the bill or not. Trump likes the bill. Trump wanted the bill passed. Mike Johnson had a lot of people questioning his capabilities to be a speaker, to lead the ship on this thing, and he got it done. We got a couple Republicans who got squirrely on it, but it now lands over on Trump's desk as of tomorrow, and the president, as we heard, is telling us that there is going to be B-2s and F-22s flying over the White House. And so we'll be celebrating and cheering on those pilots at the White House, celebrating Independence Day tomorrow. And so we're going to keep our eye on the big, beautiful bill. We're happy that the White House has a victory so that we can see Trump actually implement his agenda and trust him to be a good steward of the money and to turn $1 that we spend into $2. That would be ideal. If the government could ever do that, this would be the time. So hopefully that happens. And we're going to keep our eye on this one. Caroline Leavitt and the rest of the team, congrats on the passage. All right, now we got other updates. The Supreme Court just dropped this like moments ago. And so we'll go through this one. And they are getting not happy about this one, blown out by the Supreme Court. Here is what this one looks like. Supreme Court scolds a lower level judge. You remember Brian Murphy, who did something very sneaky out of the District of Massachusetts. This judge here, in this case, DVD versus Homeland Security, we had these illegal aliens sue and say, Trump is taking us out of the country illegally, under no due process, no notice, all that stuff. And the judge said, bring him back. Trump took this up to the Supreme Court of the United States. The Supreme Court came back down and said, this judge was wrong. You remember that? We covered it here. And the order came back down. And we'll see what happened in the docket, which is here, looking for the Supreme Court decision. Now, we had a status report, notice of appearance, and where was the Supreme Court ruling? There it is. Okay. So June 23rd is where we got it. June 23rd, the United States Supreme Court opinion came back down. And it was granted, okay? The stay was granted. We read that here. The judge couldn't order Trump to bring these illegals back. He was outside of his purview. So then the illegal gangbanger lawyers, they submitted another filing. And the judge came back down and he issued an order where he wrote the following. He said the plaintiff's emergency motion, this is the illegals, their motion is denied because I don't need it. I don't need them to ask us to enforce anything. But my order is on the remedy, okay? So the Supreme Court came back down and he said, my order on the remedy remains in full force and effect, and I don't care what the Supreme Court said about the stay of the preliminary injunction, saying that none of that was allowed, and for the avoidance of doubt, that these people are indeed subject to third-party removal and more. Okay, so you get the point that the judge said, I am going to continue to enforce my order. The order on the remedy is still in full force and effect. The Supreme Court said your preliminary injunction, which was the order for Trump to do something, is stayed. And he said, I don't care. I'm going to continue with the remedy because you violated my order, so I can enforce the remedy against you. So Trump said, what? This is ridiculous, and appealed this up to the Supreme Court. And the question came up here many times, should this be something that Trump ignores because the Supreme Court was pretty clear, and he didn't. He said, all right, look, we're going to take this up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court got their applications here for a stay, and it was all submitted here. So they submitted a motion for clarification and to clarify your order. Supreme Court, can you please tell us what you meant? Because this judge is still acting on this case, even though you said he shouldn't be acting on this case. And so the Supreme Court just dropped this and said, all right, here you go. This is on Trump's motion for a clarification. In the Supreme Court of the United States, the case is Department of Homeland Security being sued by DVD, the illegals. The judges write, on April 18th, Brian Murphy, the Boston judge, preliminarily enjoined the government, said, Trump, you can't remove any alien to a country not explicitly provided for on the alien's order of removal. This judge just shoved a bunch of additional requirements into the order, into the process, and say you can't remove them without following certain procedures designed to accommodate the illegals. Now, the district court later found, this is Murphy, that Trump violated that injunction. You didn't provide these 6 gangbangers with meaningful opportunity to assert their claims against torture claims before their removal. So they were denied their due process. So then on May 21st, the district court issued an order on remedy, directing the government to follow specific procedures with respect to those individuals who were deported. And remember, there were a bunch of people, like at some base in Africa, who were trying to be moved to their permanent residence and got stopped in the middle of the process and like shacked up in some hotel somewhere in not good conditions. Security problems. These are not good people. These are not like innocent, PhD philosophers they tell us are coming over here to just farm for us. The government sought a stay of the injunction before our court. Now, on June 23rd, the Supreme Court says, we heard the case and we stayed the injunction. Trump won, pending disposition of any appeal and a petition to our court. Now, later that day, however, the district court issued a minute order that we just read, saying that the May 21st remedial order remained in full force and effect, notwithstanding our stay. The judge said, I don't care. My order is in full force and effect, notwithstanding the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court goes, what? Now, the only authority it cited was the dissent from our stay order, referencing Sotomayor, where he said that here, Sotomayor dissenting. Remember, she wrote that weird dissent and said that she would have allowed this, the injunction to remain. So how can you quote a dissent as authority? Now, the government is moved for an order, Trump, clarifying this. It argues that the stay divests the May 21 remedial order of its enforceability. How can the judge separate the injunction from the enforcement of the injunction, which is the remedy? He's trying to do it very sneakily, but it's ridiculous, obviously. They're one and the same. Respondents argue that the district court correctly understood the order to remain in effect despite our stay of the injunction, because the May 21 order is a remedy for civil contempt, right? So now there's a parallel process. When Trump didn't follow the judge's order, then that opened up basically a new track, which is contempt, and the judge is only acting on this track, even though the Supreme Court cut them off on the top track. The motion for clarification from Trump, Supreme Court says, is granted. Our June 23rd order stayed the injunction in full, Brian. The May 21 remedial order from you cannot now be used to enforce an injunction that our stay rendered unenforceable. It's like you have to explain this like a 3-year-old, this judge. Even if we accepted their characterization of the order, such a remedy would serve to coerce the government into compliance and would be unenforceable given our stay of the underlying injunction, clearly. Now, despite the dissent's provocative language from Sotomayor, a claim that a lower court has failed to give effect to an order is properly addressed here in these other cases. Now, assuming as we do that the district court will now conform its order to our previous stay and cease enforcing the injunction through your remedial order, we have no occasion to reach the government's other requests for relief. Now, if the government wishes to seek additional relief in aid of the execution of our mandate, it may do so through mandamus. Otherwise, Brian Murphy, blown out, which was always how it was going to be. These judges, man, this is very sneaky and unethical. They know what they're doing. They're trying to just attack Trump judicially, and they just got backhanded by the Supreme Court, and he deserved every bit of it, legally, of course. Saying remedial orders are separate from the stay, ridiculous. The Supreme Court corrected that, thankfully. Now, even Judge Kagan is concurring, okay? So it's not like it's a 6-3 decision. Kagan came out and said, all right, listen, I voted to deny the government's previous stay. So I voted with the dissent in the first one, agreed with Sotomayor, and I continue to believe that you should not have stayed this order because this is about deporting non-citizens and they haven't gotten a meaningful opportunity, blah, blah, blah. But a majority of this court saw things differently, she says. Like they voted differently. And I do not see, says Kagan, how a district court can compel compliance with an order that this court has stayed. Even Kagan gets it. Because continued enforcement of the district court's order would do just that, I vote to grant the government's motion for clarification. And even Kagan, Brian, says this is ridiculous. I do not see how a district court can compel compliance with an order that the Supreme Court stayed. How can you do that? You can't, obviously. Sotomayor and Jackson dissent. Jackson sitting out writing the dissents. She's like, oh, crap. I'm not going to write the next one for a while. Sotomayor, can you handle this one? She's like, yeah, I'll handle the dissents. You just go have a nice relaxation. Go get a massage. You deserve it. Full stop. Go get one. The United States may not deport non-citizens to a country where they're going to be tortured or killed, says Sotomayor. What? International and domestic law guarantee that basic human right. Well, we don't really give a crap about international law, to be honest with you. In this case, the government seeks to nullify it by deporting non-citizens to potentially dangerous countries without no notice or opportunity. They did. They had plenty of it. They filed a lawsuit. The ACLU came crashing in. Now, the government appealed, and in its briefing, the government took the kitchen sink approach. Okay. Now the government returns for more. What the government wants to do is send 8 non-citizens it illegally removed from the United States from Djibouti, where they're going to be turned over to local authorities, and they say they're going to be killed. Yeah, right. The Fifth Amendment entitles aliens to due process of law in the context of removal proceedings, and they got it. In simple terms, the government requests that the court remove an obstacle to achieving those ends, and I think she's just still upset about the underlying ruling, like it's all about the prior ruling. The majority does not actually clarify its prior decision. The majority says it expects that the district court will now conform to our previous order, right? But it refuses to explain what such conformity would involve. As a result, today's order not only excuses again the government's undisguised contempt for the judiciary, it also leaves the district court without any guidance about how this litigation should proceed. It's over. It's over. It's pending appeal. He's done. Judge is done. That he doesn't need any other explanation. Okay, we already did paint by numbers for this dumb judge in the majority decision. Judge, the district court cannot adjudicate plaintiff's serious due process claims without ensuring, by way of injunctive relief, its jurisdiction over the case. Perhaps the majority hopes that in light of its contentless stay order, it's not contentless, it's explaining a very obvious principle that they explained in the prior ruling. Ridiculous. Now, in a democracy, power implies responsibility. All right, so that's Sotomayor. It's not much better than anything Ketanji would have written, but at least there's no ... dots in there. Wait for it, ... like there, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll rub off on Sotomayor. So, big victory there from the Supreme Court. Judge Brian Murphy, blown out, rightfully so. This order was ridiculous. He knew better than this. In my opinion, he's dishonest, and he's somebody who is trying to wage a judicial coup against President Trump, using his robe as cover to do it. And it's a reprehensible thing to do. They should be better than that. Now, Stephen Miller is celebrating these. Total Stephen Miller victory today, courtesy of the big, beautiful bill and the Supreme Court. And here is a little taste of this. Just a second, because we got some copyright problems we might run into with this audio here. But here is Stephen Miller.
Its values, its heroes, its history, its story.
Concorde jets, big giant buildings, classy condos on the streets of Miami. Look at that building. Beautiful times. Blue water, clear skies, tons of sunshine. Stephen Miller in a helicopter now flying over, looking all across the beautiful city on a hill. What a nice thing. So victory continues on. And we also are seeing that the first ICE detainees are making their way to Alligator Alcatraz. So those aliens who were not sent to the Sudan can go to Florida.
Live image that we have now coming in from Alligator Alcatraz. As we brought you, this is breaking news earlier when we learned the first group of immigrants has arrived at a new detention center deep in the Florida Everglades that officials have dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. That is according to a spokesperson for Attorney General James Uthmire. You can actually see as they zoom in, there's a bit of flooding in that area right now. Press Secretary for Uthmire did say, quote, people are there, but did not provide further details on the number of detainees or when they got there. Quote, next stop back to where they came from. That's a post from Uthmire, who said that on X just days ago. He's been credited as the architect behind the Everglades proposal and requests for additional information from the office of Governor Ron DeSantis and the Florida Division of...
All right, so that's outside Florida there, and you can see, I don't know what they're building or what they're doing, maybe another moat for some more alligators or something, but Supreme Court saying, get out of Trump's way, Brian and other judges, and we'll see how this translates over to other states. Judge Boasberg did something very similar to this. Judge Zenas did something very similar to this. And the Supreme Court is coming back down on this case saying, a stay is a stay. So stop trying to execute remedial and contempt proceedings against the president when your injunction has been stopped. So shout out to the Supreme Court. And what we see looks like to be a 7-2 decision saying, Murphy, you lose. All right, good stuff there. Now let's turn our attention to the Kilmar case, because the U.S. and Trump's prosecutors are swinging hard. Trump prosecutors shred the lower level judge involved in that criminal Kilmar case. We remember he's got a bunch of cases going on because they sued the ACLU lawyers to protect him because they love him so much in various jurisdictions. But what happened here is this is the criminal case out of Tennessee. And Trump's prosecutors, the DOJ, have just submitted this motion to revoke the lower level magistrate judge's order of release. The lower level judge said to the defense and to the prosecution that Kilmar is not a flight risk, that he's not a danger, that you guys just made everything up. He's not a human trafficker. He doesn't beat his wife. They used basically no evidence at all, made this ruling, said that he was going to be released. Then Trump's Homeland said, well, if Justice doesn't have him, then Homeland is going to take him and we're going to deport him. So then Kilmar's defense team actually asked the judge to reverse the release and hold him pending the outcome of this criminal trial. Now Trump is saying we should revoke the magistrate judge's order of release. Okay, so Kilmar's in custody. His lawyers want him in custody, but Trump and the DOJ, they do not want this judge's hack decision that we read through that was like, Kilmar's amazing. He like makes pupusas and he loves, children and other things. He allowed the defense to make their case and ignored the prosecution. And now they're saying, you done screwed up, judge. Here's what they wrote into the court. Back to the District of Tennessee. This is the criminal case against Kilmar wife beater Abrego Garcia. It says for years, judge, and in courts, we've got lower level judges and higher level judges. We often think about this like as district level judges and courts of appeals judges, and then from the courts of appeals, like a Supreme Court judge. But really, even in the district court judges, you've got lower level judges called magistrate judges in some locations in federal court. You've got, in some states, they'll call them commissioners. They're not actual like full-blown judges that are confirmed by the Senate and appointed by the president and all those things. But they handle a lot of the more basic stuff that's coming through and kind of assist. And then it gets assigned to a more official judge later in the line of the case. So they're saying this judge's order, right? They're kind of appealing it to the higher judge and also back to the same judge, saying, you screwed up. You denied the government's motion for pretrial detention. And here's how you botch this. For years, Kilmar wife beater conspired to smuggle aliens, unaccompanied children, trafficked in children, firearms and narcotics into the United States in furtherance of a transnational criminal operation. On May 21, a federal grand jury indicted Kilmar for serious felony offenses related to his participation in the conspiracy. And pursuant to the Bail Reform Act, the defendant should be detained pending trial because there is no combination of bail conditions that can reasonably assure his appearance at a future court proceeding. And this lower level judge, this magistrate judge, erred factually and legally in denying the government's motion for pretrial detention. Here's how. First, the lower judge erred in determining that the United States was not entitled to a detention hearing. Notwithstanding our evidence, we presented preponderance of the evidence to the contrary, which is the very low standard. Remember, at these hearings, at this stage in the proceedings, we're not at beyond a reasonable doubt yet. That's for the trial. So the government just has to come in here and just make like a pittance of a showing. 51%, more likely than not. It kind of looks like he did it. Good enough. And in contravention of prevailing case law, the magistrate judge found that this was not a case that involves a minor victim, even though there's testimony and evidence that there were minor victims who were transported on his floorboards. Second, the magistrate judge also failed to properly consider all of the evidence. This evidence showed that Kilmar is both a danger to the community and a risk of non-appearance at future court proceedings. But illegals get different standards than you. I mean, if you go through these processes, man, if you have like a speeding ticket that you forgot to pay, they're like, oh, well, you ignored another court, so you're in custody forever because you're a flight risk. You have failure to appear on your record. Kilmar, though, illegal alien, judge is like, nah, that's pretty good. He says he's honorable, and Van Hollen vouches for him, which cannot be reasonably mitigated by even the strictest conditions. Now, the judge repeatedly failed to assign proper weight to sworn testimony by government, federal agents, and witnesses, and found, without a sufficient basis, that the described statements of co-conspirators and other corroborating evidence were all unreliable. We read through some of it. It was ridiculous. The judge also failed to properly consider the evidence of Kilmar's past domestic violence conduct that was filed by his wife twice, his incentives to flee, his lack of ties to the community, lack of evidence regarding the efficacy of conditions of release, and more. The judge failed to weigh sufficiently all the factors under the law and goof. Now we know what happened. In this case, a grand jury indicted him, 2 counts unlawfully transporting aliens and conspiring to transport aliens. They say that Kilmar was a member and an associate of MS-13, a transnational criminal organization that engages in a bunch of crimes: violence, trafficking, narcotics, alien smuggling, all throughout the North and Central America. Now, beginning in 2016, Kilmar joined a conspiracy to transport illegals for money and gain. He and one of his co-conspirators routinely picked up aliens in Texas, Houston, after the aliens had illegally crossed the border. In fact, defendant and the co-conspirator then transported the aliens in interstate commerce all around the country. They also began working with another co-conspirator, CC2, also a witness. In addition to illegally transporting aliens, they also trafficked firearms and narcotics from Texas to Maryland. Now, the indictment also alleged that Kilmar and his co-conspirators routinely transported aliens in an unsafe manner. They used reconfigured vehicles with aftermarket unattached seating rows, and they transported children on the floorboards of their vehicles, right? Just shove them down in there. They can fit under the seats. They'll be fine. It's only 15 hours. According to the indictment, another co-conspirator, number 6 now, received reports that Kilmar abused female undocumented aliens like a disgusting pervert, and caused this person to report these allegations to the other 2 who admonished him, stop molesting the women. The indictment further described attempts by Kilmar and his co-conspirators to evade detection. When they were traveling, they often varied their transportation routes and routinely confiscated the aliens' cell phones to prevent them from contacting anyone. They also routinely devised and employed fake cover stories if they got stopped. And they say during the conspiracy, he illegally transported aliens over 100 trips between Texas and other states. And they just allowed it. The FBI caught him that one time, like, nah, let him go. Now, on November 30th, didn't even give him a driving on a suspended license. You try driving without a license or driving on a suspended or revoked license because you don't have one. See what happens to your car. On November 3rd, don't do it. On November 30th, the defendant was driving an SUV carrying undocumented aliens. After law enforcement stopped the vehicle for speeding, didn't get a ticket for that either, he knowingly and falsely lied to a state trooper that he and the passengers, and you would get charged with false reporting in that in many other instances, for coming from St. Louis where they had been allegedly been doing construction work for 2 weeks. License plate reader data showed, nope, lied. In the preceding 12 months, he had actually been to Houston within the week leading up to this. Wasn't anywhere near where he said. Shortly after the traffic stop, he reported to his co-conspirators, I've been stopped by law enforcement, but I got released from the scene. They got his records. Now, here is something that played at the hearing, right? This was admitted at the hearing that the judge just ignored. Trooper says, where are you working at? Kilmar says, where? Where? St. Louis, Missouri. Missouri? Yes, sir. Where did you say you were coming from? Kilmar. So I come in from St. Louis, Missouri. My project. The project is over there. So right now it's done. 2 weeks. 2 weeks over there. Okay? So right now I'm going back home, says Kilmar, all lies. Now the government's motion for detention, they say on June 6, Kilmar made his initial appearance. The same day, the government filed a motion for detention, and the judge conducted a hearing to determine whether the government could keep him detained. During the hearing, the government brought in this guy, Special Agent Peter, and he offered a bunch of evidence: exhibits, body-worn camera, evidence of the traffic stop, a picture and of a roster of names and dates of birth of the people in the SUV during the traffic stop, and also submitted the orders of protections, the both of them that we read here, which was Kilmar beating the crap out of his wife. The government's evidence at the hearing strongly supported the allegations in the indictment. Judge didn't care. Special Agent Joseph testified about the traffic stop of the defendant by the Tennessee State Troopers. They also got that on the body-worn camera. During the stop, Kilmar acknowledged he'd been driving over the speed limit and he had an expired driver's license. No citations for either one of those. See if you get the benefit of the doubt when that happens to you. He also stated that the car belonged to his boss and was later identified through vehicle registration records to be a man named Jose Hernandez Reyes, who had been previously convicted of illegal entry and smuggling. Agent Joseph in court also highlighted several false statements that Kilmar gave. during the traffic stop, including that his passengers were construction crew. There was no luggage. There was no construction tools around anywhere. There were a fourth row of seats back there. He was carrying 9 passengers. It was like a bus. The state troopers then created a roster of the passengers by instructing them to write down their names, dates of birth, and residences. From the video, Trooper tells Kilmar, of course, this is 65 going through here. He says, I know, I go to 70. He says, going 70? Yeah, what's the limit right now, 70 or 65? He says, it's 65. Oh. Whose car is it? It's through my boss. Your boss? My boss, yeah. So the problem with my license right now is it's expired. Oh, it's suspended? It's suspended. Wow, right? So not expired. There's a difference between suspended and expired. Like you might have an expired license because you didn't get a new photo or something, right? You got to go in there, get a new photo every so often. So, okay, it's expired. You didn't get a new one, but it's not suspended. Suspended means it's a real problem. You have something else that's suspending your license, and you're driving illegally on a suspended license. Was it suspended for DUI? Was it suspended for fines? Was it suspended for insurance reasons? Why? I don't know. You can't drive. So what cops will normally do in Arizona, this is a class 1 misdemeanor. They'll arrest you for this. They'll impound your car for this immediately. Oh, on a you can't drive in the car. Is there anybody else who can drive this car off out of here? Nope. Okay, it's getting impounded, and they make a lot of money off of it. But if you're an illegal alien, no problem at all. You just got to call your friends at the FBI and they'll let you go. Driving on a suspended license. It wrecks people's lives, by the way, because people won't know that they have a driving on a suspended license, or they'll forget to pay a ticket or something like that. Then their car gets impounded. Then it's like $700 to get your car out of the impound. Then many of them will charge you fees every single day that it's in there. I've seen people lose their cars because of a $200 speeding ticket, driving around on a suspended license. Boom, car gets impounded. Class 1 misdemeanor. Hire a bunch of money to go defend them in court against a misdemeanor charge. And they can't even afford to get their cars out of impound. So then the state just takes it and auctions it off. It's ridiculous. But if you're an illegal alien, doesn't happen to you. You're good to go. FBI and the cops just pat you on the back and send you on your way. Insane. Now, at the time of the hearing, Agent Joseph had confirmed that 6 of the 9 passengers were nationals of Mexico, Honduras, and El Salvador who were illegally in the United States on the date of the traffic stop. Notably, 2 of the aliens had been previously apprehended by Border Patrol just 24 days before the traffic stop. Despite having been returned to Mexico following their apprehension, they had already crossed back into the United States. They didn't care. Now, one of the alien passengers in Kilmar's vehicle listed a birth date in 2007 and was only 15 years old. Agent Joseph further testified, and the judge looked at that. He's like, well, that 7 kind of looks like a 1. So that makes him a much older. Agent Joseph further testified that Kilmar's SUV did not hit any LPRs in St. Louis during the entire year, but did register a hit in Texas in November, 12 days before the traffic stop, and another hit in Texas, Louisiana, 6 days before the traffic stop. So this dude was smuggling at the border. Agent Joseph next told the judge about several cooperator witnesses who were all interviewed. One person, another person, another, and another. One advised that he met Kilmar in Maryland in 2016 and then literally hired him to do smuggling. That's a pretty primary witness right there. His primary source of customers was from a foreign national based in Central or South America, and the business involved transporting illegals. Witness 1 described how he and Kilmar confiscated cell phones, how they made stories like, oh, we're just doing construction here. Also described how they would regularly travel with close family members and children, and the children would sit on the floorboards to generate a higher revenue stream, and the children would be covered. Also described a conflict because Kilmar abused adult and minor female aliens. Wild, man. Now, CW1 also described learning about the traffic stop. Agent Joseph, when he was testifying to the judge, confirmed that on November 30th during the traffic stop, this is who he called. Kilmar called that dude. We watched the video. He also indicated that the defendant had previously been stopped while transporting illegals in other places. So in Virginia, also stopped on Interstate I-81, right? I wonder if they're investigating that. At the evidentiary hearing on July 16th coming up, the government intends to introduce call detail records provided by Verizon that show a cell phone used by the defendant Kilmar making multiple calls to this guy before, during, and after the traffic stop by Tennessee, right? So he was on the other end of the call, and now he's testifying against Kilmar. Notably, Agent Joseph located a traffic citation, nailed it, that is consistent with this testimony. In fact, the witness stated that Kilmar typically got between $1,000 and $1,500 per trip. So when he got stopped in Virginia, those cops actually gave him a ticket. They probably didn't call the FBI, and the FBI didn't say let him go. They just gave him a ticket, sent him on his way. And that might be why he is suspended. Like, he might have a unpaid speeding ticket from Virginia that he just forgot. He's like, I forget, I don't care. But they marked his number, and then it transferred over and suspended his other license. And he's like, okay, I don't care, I'm illegal. During the November traffic stop, he possessed an envelope with $1,400 in cash, baby. Now, witness one was not aware of any physical evidence of the membership in MS-13, but added asking those types of questions can be dangerous. He also stated that Kilmar really liked guns, but initially stated they would have not transported them because of the risk. Now, during a follow-up interview, however, witness one stated that he regularly gave guns to his driver and had given 1 or 2 guns to Kilmar, which Kilmar transported back to Maryland. Witness one also was moved to a federal halfway house and has been granted deferred deportation so that he would be available as a witness at trial. Now, the judge is saying, see, this is just pressure. Like, they're just trying to make this dude come out and testify against Kilmar. They're going to give him a smoking deal. They're not going to deport him because they're going to bias his testimony, is what the defense is saying. Now, importantly, but he was on the other end of the call. Like, he is a very credible witness because he was working with him and got the phone call. Importantly, witness one admitted that he and Kilmar routinely transported minor female aliens during this conspiracy. This is the Democrats' hero. This is the cause. This is what they're standing up for. They flew down to meet with this guy. Further, witness one also advised that he had received a complaint from Kilmar that he acted sexually inappropriate to the minors. During this testimony, the judge incorrectly sustained an objection on hearsay grounds, which cut off the testimony. The judge doesn't want to hear it. I don't want to hear him molesting women. Despite the fact that the federal rules of evidence do not apply at a detention hearing. So you're not going to object to hearsay. You're allowed to have hearsay. It's not a trial. It's a detention hearing. The magistrate judge later in the hearing reversed her ruling on that objection. Yeah. So then CW2 advised that he met the defendant in Maryland. Another witness, 2019. Witness 2 personally observed Kilmar and his participation in human smuggling. During at least one smuggling trip, witness 2 also observed him trafficking narcotics, stating that Kilmar trafficked drugs, and he told Kilmar, if you traffic drugs during the alien smuggling trips, that's bad for business. So just do one or the other. Similarly, on 3 alien smuggling trips, this witness also observed Kilmar purchase 5 guns, including handguns and assault rifles, which the Kilmar then concealed in the vehicle under children's belongings in the rear of the car. Witness 2 also similarly noted that Kilmar appeared to be very familial with gang members that were being smuggled by the organization. Hey, what's up, bros? CW2, the witness, also confirmed that drivers in the smuggling organization were typically paid between $1,000 and $1,500 per load of 8 to 10 aliens per trip. That was consistent with the $1,400 they found in his envelope. Witness 2 was also under federal indictment and expressed hope for judicial consideration in exchange for this. The United States has not filed any motion or any substantial assistance to him in this case. Importantly, in addition to stating law enforcement that he had firsthand knowledge, he also received complaints by a co-conspirator that Kilmar had been inappropriate with minor girls during the transport. We have a female witness called NV. She's referred to as NV during the hearing. She was a confidential informant. that had previously been compensated in exchange for providing information to law enforcement. And she stated that she had met with Kilmar in Maryland and believed him to be a member of MS-13 based on her personal experiences with the rival gang known as 18th Street. NV, this witness, also learned about Kilmar's involvement in smuggling because she was asked to join him. NV also described how Kilmar asked her for nude images when she was only 15 years old. No wonder the Democrats love this dude. CW3, who is female, was also interviewed about her role in the smuggling organization. She said that she participated in the human smuggling conspiracy with Kilmar, had relationships with other cooperating witnesses that were also mentioned, observed Kilmar bring family members and children with him in order to conceal his criminal activities. Also said that she testified, or did also testify in this case. And finally, we had another witness, Ford, was also interviewed about her role in the human smuggling organization. She was responsible for finances, deposits, and bookkeeping. She was responsible for the wire transfers between the conspirators, and the organization attempted to avoid law enforcement by using multiple people to move the money around. And so we got those witnesses who all came out and testified, and the judge said, I don't really care. I'm going to listen to some affidavit about pupusas. So the magistrate judge's order, the lower level judge, right? This is going up to Crenshaw, which is the higher level judge, but the lower level judge issued the ruling, and then Crenshaw basically affirmed the lower level ruling. So they're trying to cut that one out, saying the magistrate judge found that the government was not entitled to a detention hearing and found that the charged offenses also did not involve a minor victim. Saying, well, involves, like, what does involves mean? I remember she was like, well, it's like, how is that any different than a father who takes his son across state lines without wearing a seatbelt, is what she said. Well, what's the difference? Does that involve a minor? Yeah, I mean, it kind of does, actually. Yeah, it does. Means something more than related to or something less than necessarily entails. We read through this. She turned herself into a pretzel on this one. And as a result, she said that involves was broad enough for a court to consider the conduct of the offense, but would not include cases with minor children. Like involving minor children means like, something more than just like putting them on a floorboard. Now, turning to the government, the judge then found that the evidence was not sufficient to find smuggling of minors. The judge questioned the reliability of the roster. She says, actually, that 7 looks like a 1. Remember? She's like, that 2007 looks like 01. So I'm going to find he's older. She also questioned the reliability of the government's witnesses. She said, well, I'm going to give them little weight because they're going to benefit. They're going to get good deals if they cooperate with the DOJ in their cases. And finally, even assuming the government was entitled to a detention hearing, she said that there were conditions of release that could make sure he comes back. She gave very little weight to the government's evidence from cooperating witnesses and didn't care that it involves minor victims, guns, or drugs. Also, the judge didn't even care about the orders of protections that Jennifer Vasquez, his wife now, filed against him. Mental health, anger management, said that he would eliminate her and could eliminate her and nobody would even know. The judge found that conditions could be crafted to prevent him from abusing people. So the judge gave significant weight to the lack of his criminal records and his prior employment as a sheet metal apprentice in a fake job. Although Kilmar offered no proof at the hearing that was subject to cross-examination, the judge gave significant weight to his supposedly strong ties to Maryland, which was described in a single letter from a social service agency. Okay, so just put everything we just talked about on one side of the scale. Kilmar submitted a social service agency called CASA, some stupid letter from them. We love Kilmar. He's a good person. As a result, the magistrate judge denied the government's motion and said, we're going to release this dude. They say this is totally nonsense. The government, in fact, is entitled to a hearing. This judge failed to properly consider all of the government's evidence. He is a flight risk, okay? He was involved in a years-long operation to smuggle minors. He trafficked kids, made improper sexual advances towards adults and minors. We've got a witness of a 15-year-old girl who's saying Kilmar wants nudies. The defendant's successful attempts to evade law enforcement detection in the past, using forbidden routes and other routes, forbidding cell phones, making false statements to the cops, continuing to participate in the smuggling scheme even after being stopped in Virginia and Tennessee, multiple orders of protections for beating his wife and scaring the kids, and more. The judge didn't care, placed undue weight on his sheet metal work, and because somebody sent a letter that he's a good person. Simply put, the judge failed to meaningfully scrutinize the evidence in favor of detention. And while the judge's opinion questioned and doubted the significance of our evidence, didn't consider the records as a whole, and completely abdicated her duty, and spent a lot of time trying to say, well, this was a minor victim, and it's not actually a minor victim. The order in this case, going through a lot of other case law, but here, yeah, the magistrate judge, this lower level judge, the weirdest thing, went through this theoretical and fanciful factual scenario that involved transporting seafood and traveling to pay child support. Remember that? Like, what if a father's like hauling a bunch of shrimp across state lines and didn't pay his child support? Does that involve a minor victim? Like, what are you talking about? In this case, there were kids on floorboards. That's not somebody failing their child support. So she tried to say that involved didn't apply in this case, and so it doesn't involve minors. We don't have to keep him in custody, because if it involves a minor, then it's mandatory. In this case, the government offered testimony describing statements. Multiple witnesses said minor girls were being transported and abused. Okay, that involves a minor. The evidence about the sexual interest and attempt to exploit teenage girls also shows that there's evidence and corroborates the fact that he was abusing the minors that he was smuggling in. And so this weird interpretation that this judge adopted is just simply wrong. The formulation comes from other cases. She has no idea what she's talking about. And our detention hearing evidence, or hearing evidence at the hearing in favor of fighting for a detention hearing, provided a bunch of information saying these witnesses describe their own firsthand knowledge. They say, oh yeah, no, we saw him. Like, we are firsthand witnesses to this. He was involved in a conspiracy to smuggle, because we were involved in it too. And there were minors and unaccompanied minors that were there. Both witness 1 and 2 arise and describe the conflict about him being inappropriate towards minor females. 2 of them corroborating it. They also told law enforcement how Kilmar used his own children during the trips to cover up for his illegal activity, exploitation of a minor. And the testimony also has been corroborated in multiple different ways. We got these statements corroborated by NV. She says, I was 15, this dude was creeping on me. There was a roster of passengers, another 15-year-old there. The SUV they were driving belonged to CW1, who is a convicted smuggler himself. Kilmar called the convicted smuggler his boss, literally, in the video. Then he, on body camera, tells the state trooper, I'm going to call my boss. And the Verizon records say, oh yeah, his boss is a convicted smuggler. He, when one was arrested in 19, he had a cell phone and had a phone number that was used by Kilmar, and that phone number was called Kilmar Chauffeur. The government contends that this reflected the defendant Kilmar functioned as a driver, which is chauffeur, as driver for the smuggling operation. Kilmar Chauffeur. Got the T and the L wrong. Now, additionally, or he just made it, just changed it up. So if you search for Kilmar, you're not going to find it. Now, additionally, the crimes alleged in the indictment is captured on video. In the body-worn camera footage, all of that is introduced. It's extremely rare that after a reviewing court has the opportunity to watch a video of a defendant caught red-handed in the act of committing a federal crime to let him go. But that's exactly what this happened here. Evidence showed. We had the exact evidence. Now, in addition to being direct, literally non-hearsay evidence, it's evidence of the crime, of the defendant committing the crimes, the body-worn camera footage and the investigation based on video corroborates all of the other testimony. There was also $1,400 in cash. Aftermarket seat was visibly present where they were shoving additional illegals back in the back of the car. And also at the evidentiary hearing coming up in July, the government intends to introduce paper records showing that Kilmar used this phone number in question, which was subscribed to in the name of his wife. Now, also the fact that multiple individuals were illegally in the United States who were in the back of his car. He lied about where he was. There were no tools or luggage. License plate reader shows this guy was lying about where he was coming and going from. All of this corroboration shows by at least a preponderance of the evidence, it's not beyond a reasonable doubt, we're at the very beginning stage of this, says that the witnesses were being truthful. Their evidence corroborates other evidence and validates it. Now, in summary, this court has a strong basis to credit the evidence the government obtained from these witnesses. The record from the bail hearing was also supplemented to show. But this court just screwed up. Involving a minor and creating a sliding scale is inappropriate. This judge was also speculating, engaging in speculation, saying, well, 2007 really could be 2001. The roster says it's 07. The judge also heard that 3 former members of the alien smuggling operation all said minors were involved. All 3 later testified under oath. This evidence taken together makes it more likely than not it's 07. The dude's a minor. However, the judge did not even consider the evidence holistically. She took evidence piecemeal, knocked out each piece of evidence individually because she loves child traffickers. The judge also created a scale of reliability and said the government's witnesses are now being biased because they're getting deals, and also said this is hearsay evidence. But hearsay is acceptable during a bail hearing. Hello. As a result of her refusal to give proper weight, all of that decision was improper. And she also gave no weight to the fact that the government produced a literal video of the list that was being created. And the judge's opinion that this evidence was crucial is completely baseless, saying, well, they missed some of the crucial evidence. They don't need that. And her qualms about the reliability of evidence also don't measure up. Now, Kilmar should be detained. If the court finds that this government is entitled to a hearing, the record developed here shows this dude is a menace. In assessing whether bail conditions are reasonable, we have to consider a bunch of things: mental condition, family ties, and more. All those factors say Kilmar needs to be locked up. The proper question before this court: can any set of circumstances or conditions secure this dude's appearance or make sure he's not a flight risk? They say the law says no. If he's released, he faces a simple choice: flee the United States to avoid prosecution, or no matter what happens, he's being removed. Even if he wins his criminal case, he's being removed. So if you let him go, his best option is to flee because he's leaving the country either way. The defendant also has an incentive to choose a third path: escape, go into the interior of the country. Multiple co-conspirators say that he's smuggled people before, made sexual overtures towards a lot of people. He's also tried to avoid law enforcement. Other testimony saying he was driving 9 illegals in a modified SUV, has a boss, and more. So the incentive to flee is amplified by the exposure he faces at sentencing. Many crimes involving minors, including trafficking, have serious penalties. And here, with alien smuggling, these are all aggravating factors: molesting young girls and more. And so to resolve this conflict, though, the judge inappropriately relied on the paucity of proof and a social organization who wrote him a letter. And the fact is, Kilmar's a danger to the community. He transported guns, was involved in a smuggling community, transported females, minors, abused them, abused his wife, string of abuses, slapped his wife, broke her phone, locked the kids in the room, broken phones before, broken TV, smashed the son's tablet. 4 other instances where this dude's been troubling and violent. And so according to the petition, she said, we read it, that he told her, I could eliminate you and nobody could do anything about it. He said that I have recorded, she said, the wife, that it's recorded that even if he kills me, no one can do anything to him. She said she recorded it. He punched her, scratched her, ripped off her shirt, grabbed her, bruised her, all the things. Judge didn't care. Says, well, that's okay. It's too remote. All of that stuff is just too far. It's old. So what? It's old domestic violence. The government says that's totally ridiculous. Nobody else would get these benefits. We read through it. We're like, oh my gosh. Could you imagine? Criminal defense attorneys, if you got judges like this, like for your clients, all you have to do is like send in a sticky note. Motion to modify release conditions, just a sticky note. Just write a letter from like some nonprofit. My client's a good person. Send that in. Judge's like, what? Can't argue with that. Let him know. Conclusion, for the foregoing reasons, no, that would never happen to citizens, only to illegals. Here, respectfully submitted, acting U.S. attorney into the court. And we know that this judge is not going to reverse it. So once Judge Crenshaw denies this, then we'll see what Trump wants to do in terms of appealing it. But submitting it to this judge to reverse the magistrate judge, we'll see where that goes. But that's the latest in the Kilmar case, and the DOJ going after the lower level judge, rightfully so. We'll keep our eye on this one. Thank you for subscribing and joining as we do. All right, my beautiful friends. Well, what a great day it has been. If you're just joining us, quick recap on what we talked about. And then I'm not sure if Trump is speaking or what he's doing later tonight. Let's see what the schedule looks like.
In the history of the world, our home.
So we got
President
some speeches
Trump
here.
Would be the first to tell you, love your country. He would be the first to.
All right, so they're out there in Des Moines, Iowa to kick off a year-long celebration. So that's happening right now. But we had a great stream today, my friends, if you're just joining us. We talked about the big, beautiful bill passing. Tremendous victory, winning from everybody. Look at all these tabs, baby. Constant winning, tons of statements. JD, Kristi Noem, Tim Burchett, Congress, thumbs up, doing the YMCA out there, and just having a great, grand old day, passing the one big, beautiful bill. So Thomas Massie, not too happy about it. AOC having a meltdown, crying her eyes out, and almost crying her eyes out, and just having a tough time. So we talked all about it and hit the highlights, and we'll see what Trump does when he signs it into law tomorrow on America's birthday. We also then talked about the Supreme Court case and had this one drop fresh out of the oven today, saying that Judge Brian Murphy from Massachusetts, who snubbed the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, your injunction is stayed. He said, no, it's not. I'm going to do whatever I want. Who do you think you are, the Supreme Court? I'm the Supreme Court. Well, the Supreme Court said, no, you're not. So your injunction and your remedial powers are now stayed. So get it through your thick skull. And even Judge Kagan came out and said, yeah, I mean, I don't understand how you even thought you could do this. How could you be so dumb? Then we talked about Kilmar and this judge, Waverly Crenshaw, who now got a new filing and a motion from the Trump DOJ saying the lower level magistrate judge in your district's a moron and she didn't do anything appropriately and handled this wrong and you should reverse this and revoke her decision. We know he's not going to do that, but then that will give Trump an official denial and we'll see where he takes it from there. And so it's been a beautiful stream. Happy Independence Day Eve, my beautiful friends. Reminder, we're going to come back tomorrow. We're going to do an early morning stream, probably 12 noon Eastern, and hopefully you join us. We're going to celebrate Independence Day and America's birthday and Mama G's birthday all together. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So my friends, now it's time to hear from you. Thank you so much for your support. Welcome to our new membos. If we have any who joined us, thank you for being membos. Thank you for supporting our work. Thanks for liking this. We got a bunch of new membos. Oh my goodness, Mock Schnell. Got a bunch of new membos from Mock Schnell in the house. What a nice thing. And Jason on Blast, thank you. Welcome, new membo friends. Here's what we've got. Yes, beautiful day. Happy 3rd of July, indeed. Happy 3rd of July. And starting tomorrow, we're celebrating America for 1 year, I think. All the way up until 2026. Looking forward to it. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Rick, hey, Rick D, what's up, Rick D? Rick Donner in the house. Thank you, Rick, for being here. Rick, we got this one. D herself is here. Adam M, welcome. One Jump Bob coming in. Cody's Mamita is here. We've got Sean A, all gifted membos. Thank you, Rick D, for doing that. And Rick D also shouting everyone out. Everyone, please do be safe over the holiday. It can get crazy out there. No doubt about that. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff. Fireworks. Don't blow your hands off. Don't burn your sister. Rick D, be careful out there. Lots of drunk drive-in, lots of stuff. Get drivers. Be safe. Absolutely. Thank you, Rick D, for the reminder. Cops are out in full force on these weekends, too. Saturation patrols. If you're in Phoenix, if you're in the East Valley, be careful. There's always East Valley saturation patrols. Gilbert, Chandler, Mesa, Scottsdale. They all rally up together and they just want to go get DUIs out there. And they get a lot of people for, stupid traffic crap because they're just looking for DUIs. Anyways, what's up? And everybody gets a ticket. Villa Plot, what's up? Hey, please play clips of AOC crying. That's all I need. We definitely got one of them. We didn't finish the full clip because we can only take so much AOC on this channel, but we got a little dose of it. We got a little dose, Villa Plot. Hey, Rick D says, ever wonder why there are no Democrats on Mount Rushmore? Yeah, me either. No, I was going to say no. I never really thought about that. But I do think that there's some nice room right over here for America's favorite president. Don't you think? Wouldn't that be nice right there? Or maybe over here by Lincoln. Hey, Resin Waves by Veronica. What's up, Resin Waves? Hey, 16 months as a member. Almost 2 full babies. Happy birthday to Mama G. Oh, I know. And we're actually going to be celebrating the following weekend. We got a fun trip planned. It's going to be great. And I think I'll be able to share some of that with you guys, hopefully. We're not going to have any service, so it's not going to be live, but you'll get the gist. Anyways, Mama G, happy birthday. We love Mama G. We love America. And I think it's pretty cool that my mom has her birthday on July 4th. Makes me feel very patriotic. Like I'm connected to greatness. I don't know. What's up? What's up? So, hey, Jason on Blast is here. Thank you, Jason, for bringing in 10 membos. Elizabeth Plum. What's up? CL is here. BJ Marshall. JL in the house. Jason bringing him in. JM Sparger. What's up, somebody else? A Wolf. FG is here. We got Penbird and Trinal Galaxy. Did you guys see there's some interstellar object flying through our galaxy right now? Going very fast. Very interesting. Andy Q. What's up? And Hold Me Tighter. What's up? Thank you both for joining up. We had a great members only stream this morning. And we're going to have an after party after the show. What's up, Mock Schnell? Hey, well, with the big, beautiful bill passing, it's good for my day trading. I'm going to sell today and take the $5.50 per share profit. But now we'll wait till next week as I know things will go better with more stability. Yeah, shout out to the stock traders out there. Hopefully you guys are crushing it, making some serious gains out there. We got Spuds. And thank you, Mock Schnell, for sharing some of your gains with us. Spuds, hey, somebody just came through with my Lock 23. Yes, the Ice Gators are in central New York and not just the Everglades. The Ice Gators on Spuds' boat. Be careful, illegals. You're going to be in trouble. Hey, Mom CEO is here. Says, we live in Iowa. We have a ton of groundhogs. Pick 1, 3, 5, all here. Pick number 2 is the raccoons we caught not trying to. FYI, they growl like a lion when they're afraid. It scared the daylights out of me. Pick 4 is a very sleepy squirrel laying on a cold metal pole. I thought I had impaled itself. No, thank goodness it was okay. I opened the door to go check on it and jumped off and took off. I tried to post the video of the 3 groundhogs playing on our deck. I tagged Rob, but I'm not sure if it posted. We watched a great squirrel video this morning. So if this feels like it's out of context, that's probably why. Great squirrel video. This dude got absolutely into it with a squirrel. And it was like pushing his head down like you do to your little brother. It was really pretty embarrassing. But he came back in the second half and then threw that squirrel right across his yard. It was pretty great. This old guy on the Membo stream. Check it out at the end. Hey, AOC. Oligarchy lady is so sad. I couldn't help but smile. It's like, what are you talking about? Do they think 17 million people are going to die? Is that what they think? They really do, I think. They think they're throwing illegals out of airplanes. Mock Schnell, thank you for bringing in, I think, 100 membos. I think you brought in 250s. You're amazing. Check out who's coming in. Let's welcome them. Diane B, Kazzy B, what's up? I don't know. Leslie Sorensen, PI is here. We got Thrift Life, C Stir, Cindy, AG Biochemist. What's up, Blaze Sensei? Herschel Willis, Blue Nose, Mike Drop, JetBlue, JB. We got Tony V, Frank W. What's up, Data Frag? Truth Matters, Ammo is Currency, Jenny H, Joseph B, Sean Howard. What's up, Sunshine Dinky, George A, Drunken Yoda's here, East West, Foff Tracks, Purple Lady is here, Jeff K, Kiba Miata, Rebecca, J-Dog, What No One Told Gen X is here, Paulo Scratch, Lorena Ashcroft. What's up, Elliot? Dear Emily, Scott is here. Teenage Wasteland is here. Ian Hassett. Dave M. What's up, Amanda? No mandates, not a Fed. Eric Hutchman is here. Betalist, Teresa B, Lord Croc. What's up, Krista C, Shagida, and David Campbell, all gifted membos, courtesy of Mock Schnell. Thank you, Mock Schnell, for doing that. Welcome, new membos. Very nice to have you. We appreciate you being here. Thank you, Mock Schnell, for doing that. We got Rick Donner. Hey, Rob. Celebrating the birth of the nation tomorrow by making my 5,500th jump. Weather permitting. Is that a typo? Done 5,000 jumps? You don't mean 550th, do you? That is insane. 550 is an insane number. 5,500? Sheesh. Amazing, Rick. Well, I hope it happens, man. Hopefully it is. That's a big anniversary on that one. Congratulations on that. Amazing. Have a great jump tomorrow. Bill Dozer, I may disagree with parts of the bill, but I am praying things go well. I was glad to be wrong on the Iran issue, and I will focus on the positives. Also, only 34 away from 1K over there. Hey, Bill Dozer! That's awesome, man. If you guys are watching on Rumble, or even if you're not, you should go check out Bill's channel, Bill Dozer 74, over on the Rumbles. And just 34 away. So, man, almost crossing that. Keep it up, Bill. It's awesome, man. Keep going. This old guy. Trump is proof positive that you're never too old to learn. He spent the Biden years in president school learning how to be unstoppable. Yeah, I mean, everybody thought he was like golfing or something. No, he was plotting, and it worked. We got 3 babies, courtesy of Curtis Bartle. What's up? 36 months as a membo. Think about how much time that is. I think it's 4 babies, but I can't do math very well, so I don't need a spreadsheet. Hey, MAGA keeps on winning. Go Trump. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Thank you, Curtis Bartle, for being here for so long. You're amazing. Mock Schnell, you're amazing. Happy birthday, USA, baby. So, bought a bunch of membos as my life has been so blessed, passing it along. Rob, you make this channel a family. Thank you, Mock Schnell. Well, you're making it much bigger, my friend. We appreciate you doing that. And people really do appreciate the gifted membos. I mean, people come in like, hey, man, I wouldn't be able to join. Thanks for having me in here for a little while. Mock Chanel, thanks for doing it, man. We're really grateful for you. We appreciate your contributions. And we're glad you're here. Happy birthday, USA. Thanks for helping us celebrate it, Mock Chanel. You're amazing. Sev Russ, I was always a proud American, but I'm even more proud today. God bless America. It is nice to win. It is nice when you can get something done. And you have, look, I agree. I don't know. We played that game here. I don't know what the heck's going on in Iran exactly. We don't want to be invested in a war. We don't want nuclear. But these are the situations like where the president, you got to give the president, it's the quarterback. You got to give the president the ball and say, can you make a play? Oh, I don't know. Their defense is great. And our offense is not that great. We got all these things. But he says he can do it. There's 10 seconds left on the clock. So give him the ball. And you just hope they can do it. And, I don't know exactly what play Trump's going to run with this bill or how exactly Iran is going to unfold. But so far, he's doing a pretty good job, I think, threading these needles. So we give him the benefit of the doubt until there's no reason to. Andy Q, best president ever. UK for Trump. MAGA Maha Massa Mawa. MAGA Maha Massa Mawa. I have to figure out what all those are. Andy Q, thanks for being number 3 in the chat, my man. Thanks for earning that karma and for being here. Shout out to our friends in the UK. Oh, yeah, we were talking about the UK. You guys have work tomorrow? We love you, and we're not trying to be mean about it, but we'll be barbecuing. Brett, what's up? Shout out to our friends in the UK. Brett, welcome aboard, Brett. Great to see you. Grab the members-only stream from this morning. We'll see you in the after party. No doubt about it. Doan, sad how cities and states we celebrate for breaking from Great Britain and gaining our national identity are now breaking from the Constitution. Yeah, they would rather go and act like Britain. And I think hopefully things are changing over there a little bit, but arrest people for social media posts and things like that. Don't. Although New York might be turning into London. We got Be Reborn, Art and Healing. Kara Renee Wolf. What a great comment. Thank you, Kara Renee. Says, what a great day to be on the right side of history. Thank you, President Trump. I don't often comment here, but watch every show. Thank you, Rob, for all your work. So I noticed that. This is a new name. Good to see you, Kara. Kara Renee Wolf. Thanks for saying what's up. Thanks for being here every day. I think it is a good day. There's some trepidation. What's going to happen exactly? We don't know. But that's why you elect a president and have representation, is to let them represent us. So I'm excited about it. And mostly I'm excited about the fact that we're going to have this kind of done now. Like a lot of people, where are all the bills at? Where's all the work done? We couldn't do anything because we were trying to get this one bill done. And now Trump was successful. The Republicans delivered, and we get to see it unfold. Kara Renee, thanks for saying what's up. Thanks for watching the show every day. We're really grateful that you're here with us. Ellen Fly, all right, this is on Telegram, says the U.S. Supreme Court literally just said, if the district court keeps this lawlessness up and continues to defy us, come back to us directly with a writ of mandamus filing. The implication is SCOTUS will act on it immediately. What does this mean? So a writ of, basically they're just saying come directly to us, right? The regular process to get to the Supreme Court requires an appellate process where you go through the district courts and all these other courts to get up to them. They're just saying bypass this analysis is saying just bypass the lower level courts, come directly to us with a writ of mandamus, then we can act on that. And you don't have to go through the stay process like we just went through here, or a motion for clarification or any of those things, is how I think I would respond to that point. Mock Schnell, 50 more membos from Mock Schnell. You're amazing. Check them out. Welcome, friends. Freddie 1, Brian Corwin. What's up, James E? American Philosophy is here. King Rat. What's up, Adam Batter? We got Lady Esselus. We got Michael E. Farley, Pro Se America, Diane T. What's up, Wildly Lost? Will Moore, Harry Hill, Joseph Roy, Rob C, John D, Dale Gary. What's up, Roy E? Mental Shatter is here. Katrina R. We got Josh, Zach Crow, M, Robert B, Davies Fire, JVF. What's up, Marianne? J Mag, Mike Rutledge, Paul W, Sonia, Wicked Truth, John M. We got Lawrence, Juror Ronnie's here. Jess Go, My Foon Go is here. Toby Mayer, Mike Marchlick, Thomas J, Sue E Generous. We got Beverly A, Dune Awaken, Cry Havoc, Crash, Chain of Custody is here. Desert Pirate, Otto, Sheldon Irving, all gifted membos. I think that's 100 from Mock Schnell on the day. Thank you, Mock Schnell, and welcome 50 plus 50 new membos. Can't wait to see you in the after party, so be sure to stick around. Wait for it, ... Wait for it. This is my Kitanji face. Wait for it, ... No, full stop. I'm serious, though. Don't talk legalese on this channel, okay? Got more important business to do. Thank you for that. Rub some dirt on it. Galaxy Whirlpool. What's up? Leonard S. Raise your hand if you're sick of hearing about the Maryland man. I mean, I guess I'm sick of the phrase Maryland man because he's not a Maryland man. But I do think the case is interesting. So I don't know if I'm sick of hearing about the case. I think the case is interesting as far as talking about it. But if you're sick about it, then if everybody doesn't want to talk about Kilmar, I guess we don't have to. But the reason we're talking about it is I think there's some interesting stuff going on. Supreme Court might get involved in it. But right now, it's been this battle. Yeah, it's been interesting. All right. So anyways, Living Grace, what's up? Hey, God bless America. And God bless all of you American patriots. Amen to that, Living Grace. Thank you for saying that. Thanks for being a membo. God bless America. God bless you. God bless American patriots indeed. Sheila Pooh. Hey, happy Independence Day, Rob, and this Watching the Watcher family. God bless America. Love it, Sheila Pooh. Sheila Pooh, a million hugs to you. Thank you for the nice donos. Living Grace, Sheila Pooh. Love our Independence Day, baby. And we're excited to ring it in together tomorrow. What's up? Thank you, Sheila. Knox Bierman is here. Hey, happy Thursday, all. Knox is a defense attorney in Texas. Kilmar's ACLU lawyers filed a brief citing cruel and unusual punishment for how he was treated in El Salvador. I saw that. We could have covered it. We kind of ran out of time. Yeah, I read through it. For one, they said Kilmar was abused. He had cruel and unusual punishment in El Salvador. He was strip searched. Okay, which I read it too. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like every guy in jail, in every jail in the world, he got strip searched? You're kidding. It's pretty cruel to make my guy wear paper shoes and gross, dirty orange suits too. Guess they should sue. There are people in Fannie Willis's jail who are getting eaten by bed bugs, dying. How did they treat the J6ers in solitary confinement when they threw them on the floor? Give me a break. And by the way, I'm not for cruel and unusual punishment. I'm not in favor of that. I still think we should have humanity when we're dealing with even criminals. But it's bizarre how much they love this dude and how much they turn him into something that he's not. It's pretty sick. Londo, Overdue dues. Good show. Thank you, Londo. Thank you for the dono, my man. Appreciate you, Londo. Thanks for being a part of our locals. Katrina Decker. Great to see you, Katrina. Welcome aboard as a membo. We will see you back on the after party and grab the stream from this morning. Off-Label Podcast. What's up? Right next door on the tubes. Says, happy 4th, everyone. Marion's on the ground in LA. Many cities show signs of getting uppity this weekend. Tomorrow will be riot watching again. Yeah, I think the Democrats were like organizing some protest or something, but they petered out big time. Remember that like No Kings thing? There's like 5 people out there. Knox Bierman. And I do very little Fed work, but it's my understanding that the detention hearings are held with the burden for release falling on the defendant. There is a presumption for detention. Yeah, and I think especially with the minor case, which is why they were hammering that so hard, and the judge twisted herself to say, definitely doesn't involve a minor, because like if it involves a minor, then it's okay. And it's a very low standard. So, yeah. And judges, even if the standard is not, let's say that Knox, I don't know what it is exactly, but even if it's not, the idea that a judge would bend over backwards for a defendant to force his release, like the judges default on custody for allegations like this by default. And she worked hard. It was like a 100-page decision we read. Like, imagine if you got that for your judge. Wild. This old guy. This was the magistrate judge's big opportunity to write an order in a nationally recognized case. Judge Holmes blew it. Well, I don't know. I mean, she might have just identified herself as another political appointee under the next Democrat administration. You know, who knows? This old guy. She was writing for her side. She was writing an outcome that her side wanted. So she might call it a success, but the Supreme Court hopefully does not when it gets there. Rubos, what's up? The Rubos are here. Hey, happy birthday, Mama G. We love Mama G here. Says, may you be blessed with many more happy, healthy, fulfilling, love-filled, and peaceful years to come. From the Rubos over to Mama G. And Mama G has plenty of Rubos salt over there used in her delicious cooking. Thank you to the Rubos, RubosSaltShop.com. Londo, I made $850 on a 401k today. That's a nice day, Londo. Everybody likes a little extra $850. Shout out. Sounds good. Thanks for contributing a portion of it to us. Rick D, no typo. I'm currently sitting at 5,499. That is crazy, dude. How many jumps is that? How long have you been alive? It's like multiple a day. How many jumps is that? That's like a jump a day for years. That's crazy, dude. How many years? Like, let's say you jumped every day. That's got to be multiple jumps a day. That's wild, Rick. Even just the math on that. Like, what's 5,500 divided by 365? How many years of jumping? Every day of jumping. Crazy. Tony, hey, let's call it what it really is. I'm a Trump Republican all the way, baby. I think Lincoln would be cool with that. Putting Trump's head next to him over there. We'll see what happens, Tony. Hey, Munkets. This new golden age might create some inspiration for that. We'll have to see. 5,500 skydives. That's wild. Have I done 5,500 anythings in my whole life ever? I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot. All right. So, my friends, what a beautiful stream it has been. Happy Independence Day Eve. It's going to be a beautiful rest tonight. And we're going to come back in the morning and we're going to get into it again. Thank you for all these amazing donos. And for our new members, thank you for joining. And of course, stick around. We're going to do an after party debrief, chat, wrap it up on the day. And we're glad that you're going to be joining us. YouTube members, go back to the main channel homepage as soon as we're done. Hit refresh. You'll see the members only stream. And I'll also drop it in the chat. We also did we'll have locals. So locals, just stick around and we'll see you in the after party. But my friends, it's been a beautiful day. Thank you to our amazing mods and meme smiths. We got Donut Mind Me, John in the house, keeping things nice and orderly. We got K-Bean, Carrie B. We got Neuro D, Dog Digger, and Janek modding the fort down for us. Thank you for helping out. G-Gum, Just Rhonda, Elliot also stopping by and helping with a variety of amazing things. And we're grateful for our mods and, of course, for you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for liking this video before you head out of here. Thanks for subscribing if you haven't already done so. We are coming back tomorrow. We're going to be celebrating Independence Day, July 4th together, 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. and we're excited to get into it again to ring it in together. So, my friends, once again, thanks for being here. We are coming back here tomorrow to get into it again, and in order to do that appropriately, we are going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow in the morning. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, my beautiful friends. Now it's that time where the stream must end. You brought the heat with every chat and line. Together we expose corruption. One more time we dove in the truth where the media hides. Lit up the lies with receipts on all sides. The fight isn't over, but we made them sweat. We ain't done yet, no, not just yet. Because together we are watching the watchers. Truth on our side. Watching the watchers. We won't be denied. Watching the watchers. Eyes open wide. Fighting for freedom with nothing to hide. Drop a like and don't forget to share. And bring a friend who's ready to care. Tomorrow's lies are just today's news, but here we see through the scripted ruse. Together